Have you ever felt it? That sudden, gut-wrenching lurch when the world throws an unexpected storm your way. One moment, you are sailing on calm waters, the day flowing smoothly. The next, a critical email lands in your inbox, a careless word from a loved one cuts deep, or an unforeseen obstacle brings your plans to a screeching halt. In that instant, a tempest erupts not in the world outside, but within your own mind. Anger, anxiety, fear, and frustration seize the helm, and you are no longer the captain of your own ship, but a passenger tossed about by turbulent waves. We live in an age that glorifies the immediate reaction. Outrage is currency, and emotional displays are often mistaken for authenticity. Yet, deep down, we yearn for something else. We yearn for a quiet strength, an inner stillness, a state of mind so grounded and resilient that it can withstand the fiercest gales. We yearn for an unshakable mind. The great Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, in the quiet solitude of his tent during a brutal military campaign, wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This single, profound insight is the cornerstone of a philosophy that has guided humanity's greatest leaders, thinkers, and artists for over 2 millennia. Stoicism does not promise a life free from pain, difficulty, or injustice. It offers something far more valuable, a method to forge a soul that cannot be broken by them. This is not a simple list of tips or life hacks. This is a deep dive, a comprehensive training manual for your inner world. We will embark on a journey through 7 foundational Stoic lessons, each one a stone laid in the construction of your own inner citadel, a fortress of tranquility, reason, and resolve that no external chaos can ever truly breach. We will learn not just to manage our emotions, but to understand them, to work with them, and ultimately, to choose our response to them with wisdom and grace. So, find a quiet space. Allow your breathing to slow. Let the noise of the world fade into the background. Your training in the art of emotional mastery, the ancient and timeless art of Stoicism, begins now. Lesson 1, The Citadel of the Self, Understanding what is within your control. Imagine you are the architect and commander of a great fortress. This is your mind, your inner self. Outside its walls, the world rages on. Armies clash, seasons change, political tides turn, and fortunes are won and lost. These are the external events of life. Would you, as the commander, waste your precious resources and soldiers trying to stop the rain from falling or the sun from setting? Of course not. It would be an act of utter futility. Your duty lies in reinforcing the walls, training your garrison, and managing your supplies, focusing on what is within the citadel. This powerful metaphor brings us to the very foundation of Stoic practice, what the philosopher Epictetus called the dichotomy of control. He, a man who was born a slave and rose to become one of the most revered teachers in the Roman Empire, taught a lesson of liberating simplicity. Some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. This distinction, at first glance, seems obvious. Yet, almost all of our human suffering stems from our chronic failure to respect it. We stake our happiness on things we cannot command. We desire a specific outcome for a project, and when it doesn't materialize, we feel despair. We crave the approval of others, and when we are met with criticism, we feel wounded. We demand that life be fair, and when it is unjust, we are consumed by bitterness. In each case, we are trying to control the uncontrollable. We are sending our soldiers outside the fortress walls to fight battles they can never win, leaving the citadel itself vulnerable and unguarded. The Stoic path to tranquility begins with a radical and relentless reorientation of your focus. It is a daily, hourly, and sometimes moment-by-moment practice of asking yourself one critical question: is this within my control? Let us make this practical. Consider a common source of modern anxiety, a job interview. You have meticulously prepared. You've researched the company, polished your resume, and rehearsed your answers. These are your actions, they are within your control. You can control the effort you put in, the punctuality you demonstrate, the honesty of your responses, and the courtesy you show to the interviewer. However, a vast number of variables lie completely outside your control. You cannot control the interviewer's mood, their personal biases, the other candidates they have seen, or the company's internal budget constraints. If you tie your sense of self-worth and peace of mind to the outcome, getting the job, you are setting yourself up for potential turmoil. The Stoic, in contrast, derives their satisfaction from what they controlled, the excellence of their preparation and performance. They did their part with virtue and integrity. The outcome is external, and they accept it as it comes. This does not mean they are passive or desire failure. It means they have wisely chosen not to tether their inner peace to an external event. This principle is a universal solvent for anxiety. Think of a relationship. You cannot control your partner's feelings, thoughts, or actions. You can only control your own. You can choose to be loving, supportive, communicative, and honest. That is your work. To demand that they respond in a specific way is to venture outside your fortress. By focusing on being the best partner you can be, you act with virtue. The health of the relationship is then a product of two individuals' choices, but your own peace remains secure within your citadel. How do we begin to train this mental muscle? Start your day with a reflective exercise. Sit quietly for 5 minutes and consider the day ahead. What challenges might you face? A difficult meeting? A frustrating commute? A conversation you've been dreading? For each potential event, mentally separate the elements. What parts of this are entirely up to me? What parts are not? For example, in the difficult meeting, you can control your preparation, your calm demeanor, and the clarity of your arguments. You cannot control how your boss or colleagues will react. By mentally preparing for their potential negativity, you are not being pessimistic, you are being realistic. You are telling yourself, their reaction is outside my walls. I will observe it, I will deal with it, but I will not let it breach my inner peace. This mental rehearsal builds resilience. When the inevitable challenges of the day arise, your mind is not shocked or thrown into chaos. It has already seen this possibility and knows where its power lies, not in changing the event, but in mastering the response. Keep a small journal. Throughout the day, when you feel a surge of frustration, anger, or anxiety, pause and write down the cause. Then, draw a line down the middle of the page. On one side, list the aspects of the situation you control. On the other, list those you do not. This simple act of externalizing your thoughts brings immediate clarity. You will often find that 90% of your emotional distress is tied to the column of things you cannot control. Seeing this on paper is a powerful reminder to redirect your energy. By consistently practicing this, you are not just managing your emotions, you are fundamentally changing your relationship with the world. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become a student of life, a calm commander who knows that true victory is not about conquering the world outside, but about achieving sovereignty over the world within. This is the first and most crucial step to building an unshakable mind. Lesson 2, the sacred pause, the art of reflection before reaction. In our hyper-connected, instantaneous world, the space between a stimulus and our response has been compressed to almost nothing. A notification flashes, and we react. An email arrives, and we react. A provocative headline scrolls by, and we react. We live in a state of perpetual reflex, our nervous systems hijacked by a culture that celebrates speed over wisdom and immediacy over introspection. Yet, it is within that tiny, often neglected space, the pause, that our greatest power resides. The Stoics understood this with profound clarity. They knew that the quality of our lives is not determined by the events we face, but by the judgments we form about them, and those judgments are often made in a flash of unthinking, emotional reaction. To reclaim our peace and our power, we must learn to intentionally widen that gap. We must master the art of the sacred pause. Consider a common scenario. You're in a discussion with a colleague, and they make a comment that you perceive as a critique of your work. The immediate, instinctual response might be a surge of defensiveness. Your heart rate increases, your face flushes, and a sharp retort forms on your lips. This is the amygdala hijack, the ancient, fight-or-flight part of your brain taking over before your rational mind has a chance to catch up. To react from this place is to become a puppet of your primal instincts. But what if, in that critical moment, you chose to do nothing? What if you took a single, conscious breath? In that 1-second pause, you create a space. A space to observe the rising emotion without being consumed by it. A space to ask a simple question: is my interpretation of this comment accurate? Is there another way to see this? Is an angry response the most effective way to move forward? In that space, you move from being the emotion to being the observer of the emotion. This is the beginning of self-mastery. Seneca, in his treatise on anger, provides what is essentially a user's manual for the sacred pause. He advises that when you feel anger rising, you should delay your response. The greatest remedy for anger is delay, he wrote. He suggested looking at yourself in a mirror to see the ugly contortion of an angry face, or taking a slow walk, or changing your physical environment. These are all practical techniques designed to do one thing: create time and space between the trigger and the reaction. This is not about suppressing your feelings. Suppression is unhealthy. It's like holding a beach ball underwater. Eventually, it will pop up with even greater force. Reflection, on the other hand, is about acknowledging the feeling with curiosity and wisdom. You say to yourself, anger is here. I feel its heat in my chest. Interesting. Now, what is the wise and virtuous way to proceed? This practice can transform your relationships. How many arguments with loved ones are fueled by a chain reaction of thoughtless retorts? One person says something hurtful, the other reacts instantly with more hurt, and the cycle escalates until the original issue is lost in a sea of emotional wreckage. A single person practicing the sacred pause can break this entire chain. By choosing not to react impulsively, by taking a breath and saying, I hear what you're saying, and it's making me feel defensive. I need a moment to think before I respond, you introduce reason and calm into a situation teetering on the brink of chaos. You elevate the entire interaction. How can you cultivate this skill in your daily life? Practice mindful breathing. The breath is the anchor of the present moment. Throughout your day, set reminders to simply pause and take 3 slow, deep breaths. Feel the air enter your lungs and the sensation of it leaving. This simple act trains your nervous system to find calm and interrupts the cycle of mindless reactivity. When a real emotional trigger occurs, this trained ability to return to your breath will be your first line of defense. The 24-hour rule for important decisions. For significant decisions or responses, especially those made via email or text, implement a personal 24-hour rule. Draft your emotional, immediate response if you must, but do not send it. Save it as a draft and revisit it the next day. With the clarity of a rested mind, you will almost certainly revise it to be more rational, more compassionate, and more effective. Use a physical totem. Choose a small object, a coin, a smooth stone, a ring, to serve as a physical reminder to pause. Whenever you touch it, let it be a cue to take a breath and check in with your inner state. Keep it in your pocket or on your desk. This creates a tactile link to your intention for mindfulness. Verbalize your pause. There is immense power in telling someone, let me think about that for a moment. It signals respect for their words and respect for your own cognitive process. It is a sign of strength and confidence, not weakness or hesitation. To reflect before reacting is to live intentionally. It is a quiet rebellion against a world that demands we move faster and think less. It is a commitment to ensuring that your actions are a product of your highest self, your reason, your values, your wisdom, and not the fleeting whims of your emotional weather. In the sanctuary of the sacred pause, you will find not only peace, but power. Lesson 3, The View from Above, Cultivating Objective Judgment. Our emotions are rarely caused by events themselves, but by the stories we tell ourselves about those events. An event is neutral. Our judgment of it is what gives it color, weight, and emotional charge. A traffic jam is simply a collection of stationary cars. It is our judgment, this is a disaster. I'm going to be late. My day is ruined. That creates the feeling of stress and anger. The Stoics referred to these unexamined, often negative judgments as passions, and they saw them as the primary source of our mental disturbance. To find tranquility, we must learn to see the world as it is, without the distorting filter of our subjective, often irrational, judgments. We must practice, as the Stoics did, a form of cognitive distancing, a way of observing our thoughts and the world from a place of dispassionate objectivity. The term dispassion can be misleading. It does not mean becoming a cold, unfeeling robot. It means freedom from passion in the Stoic sense, freedom from the grip of turbulent, irrational emotions. It is the clarity of a calm lake, which perfectly reflects the sky and trees because its surface is still. One of the most powerful exercises the Stoics use to achieve this state is called the view from above. Marcus Aurelius practiced this frequently in his meditations. He would, in his imagination, lift his consciousness out of his body, high above the battlefield, high above Rome, high above the earth itself. From this cosmic perspective, he would look down upon the affairs of humanity. He wrote, "Look down from above on the countless herds of men and their countless solemnities, their various voyagings in storm and calm, and the disputes of those who are being born, living together, and dying." From this vantage point, what happens? Our personal problems, which seem so monumental and all-consuming from our ground-level view, shrink to their proper size. The promotion you're desperate for, the insult that stung you, the social event you're anxious about, all of these become tiny, fleeting moments in the vast tapestry of human existence. The frantic rushing, the bitter rivalries, the intense dramas, they all appear as the scurrying of ants on a vast plain. This is not meant to trivialize our lives or induce a sense of nihilism. On the contrary, its purpose is to grant us perspective. It helps us detach from the ego's drama and see situations with a clear, objective eye. The anger you feel over a minor slight seems absurd from 10,000 feet. The anxiety about a public speaking engagement becomes less terrifying when you see yourself as one of billions of souls, each with their own fears and struggles. Practicing the view from above helps us cultivate empathy. From that high vantage point, the person who insulted you is no longer just your antagonist. They are another human being, driven by their own insecurities, fears, and ignorance of what is good. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, they are our kin, part of the same human family, and they are acting out of a mistaken understanding of the world. This perspective dissolves personal anger and replaces it with a sense of forbearance, even pity. How can you practice this in a modern context? Guided meditation. There are many guided meditations available that walk you through the view from above. But you can do it yourself. Find a quiet place, close your eyes, and begin to visualize yourself rising from your chair, through the roof of your building, looking down on your neighborhood, your city. Continue to zoom out, seeing your country, the continent, the curve of the earth, the planet hanging like a blue marble in the silent blackness of space. Hold this image for a few minutes. Then, gently bring your awareness back to your immediate surroundings. Notice the shift in your emotional state. Descriptive, objective journaling. When you are upset about something, describe the event in your journal as if you were a neutral, scientific observer. Strip out all emotional language and subjective judgments. Instead of writing, "My boss unfairly criticized me in front of everyone, it was so humiliating," write, "During the 10 a.m. meeting, my manager stated that the report contained errors. Other team members were present. I felt a sensation of heat in my face." This practice, a core technique in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which has its roots in Stoicism, creates a separation between the event and your story about it. In that gap, you can choose a more rational and helpful interpretation. Break down objects and events. The Stoics would practice deconstructing things into their component parts to see them objectively. A fine wine is just fermented grape juice. A lavish royal robe is just sheep's wool dyed with the blood of shellfish. This wasn't to be cynical, but to strip away the false value judgments we attach to things. When you are worried about an event, break it down. A terrifying presentation is simply you, speaking words from a piece of paper, to a group of other humans, in a room. This deconstruction removes the fear-inducing narrative and leaves you with a manageable reality. Practicing dispassion and objective judgment is about seeing things clearly. It is the practice of a mental scientist, a spiritual cartographer who seeks to map reality as it truly is, not as our fears or desires wish it to be. By adopting this clear-eyed view, we free ourselves from the tyranny of our own irrational judgments and find a profound and enduring peace. Lesson 4, the test of time. Will this matter in 5 years? Our lives are a constant stream of moments, each demanding our attention, each capable of evoking a powerful emotional response. In the heat of a particular moment, our perspective can narrow dramatically. A minor inconvenience can feel like a major catastrophe. A sharp word can feel like a devastating wound. Our minds, by default, tend to magnify the importance of the immediate present. We get lost in the urgency of the now. The Stoics, however, were masters of perspective. They understood the therapeutic power of time. They knew that the passage of time has a remarkable ability to diminish our sorrows, soothe our anger, and put our anxieties into their proper context. To harness this power proactively, we can employ a simple but profoundly effective mental tool, a question that serves as a time machine for the soul. When faced with a distressing event, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Stop for a moment and truly consider the power of this inquiry. That embarrassing mistake you made in a meeting today, will it have any bearing on your life in 5 years? That frustrating argument about whose turn it was to do the dishes, will you even remember it 5 years from now? That feeling of envy you got from seeing someone's vacation photos on social media, will it hold any significance whatsoever in half a decade? The answer, for the vast majority of our daily troubles, is a resounding no. This realization is not a dismissal of our feelings, the frustration and embarrassment are real in the moment. Instead, it is a tool for recalibration. It allows us to give the event an emotional weight that is proportional to its actual long-term significance. It stops us from investing a 5-year amount of emotional energy into a 5-minute problem. This practice fosters a profound sense of resilience. When we regularly remind ourselves of the bigger picture, we become less fragile, less easily knocked off balance by the minor squalls of daily life. We develop what you might call emotional perspective. We learn to distinguish between the mountains and the molehills, and we stop treating every molehill as if it were Everest. Let's apply this in a more significant context. Imagine you receive a harsh rejection, from a job, a university, or a creative project you poured your heart into. The initial pain is sharp and real. But as you sit with that pain, ask the question. In 5 years, where will this event fit into the story of my life? It's highly likely that it will be seen not as a final verdict on your worth, but as a minor detour, a plot twist that perhaps led you down a different, maybe even better, path. This perspective doesn't erase the immediate sting, but it prevents the sting from becoming a chronic wound. It frames the setback as a chapter, not the entire book. You can also use this question as a regular reflective exercise in your journal. Step 1. Think back to something that caused you significant stress or anxiety exactly 5 years ago. Try to remember the details. What were you worried about? What did you fear would happen? Step 2. Reflect on that worry from your present-day perspective. How did it actually turn out? Did the worst-case scenario happen? Even if it did you survive? Did you learn something from it? Step 3. Notice how the emotional charge of that past event has faded. The thing that once kept you up at night is now a distant memory, a footnote in your life's journey. Repeating this exercise builds a deep, experiential understanding that this too shall pass. It trains your mind not to catastrophize, because you have a library of personal evidence proving that most of your past fears were overblown. But the question isn't just a tool for minimizing negative emotions. It is also a clarifying filter for our ambitions and desires. When you are chasing a goal, ask yourself, will achieving this truly matter to me in 5 years? 10 years? This helps distinguish between the fleeting desires of the ego, like impressing others or acquiring a status symbol, and the deep, soul-level goals that align with your core values, like building meaningful relationships, mastering a skill, or contributing to your community. In a world that constantly pulls our attention towards the trivial and the immediate, asking, will this matter in 5 years, is an act of profound wisdom. It is a declaration that you will not be a slave to the tyranny of the now. You will live with perspective, with patience, and with a deep understanding of what truly counts in the grand, unfolding narrative of your life. Lesson 5, The Inner Dialogue, Forging Resilience with a Stoic Journal. The human mind is a constant, unceasing conversation with itself. From the moment we wake to the moment we fall asleep, a stream of thoughts, judgments, worries, and plans flows through our consciousness. If left unexamined, this inner dialogue can become a chaotic and tyrannical force, pulling us into cycles of anxiety, self-criticism, and reactivity. The Stoics understood that to master oneself, one must first learn to observe and guide this inner conversation. Their most powerful tool for this task was the journal. A Stoic journal is not a mere diary for recording the day's events. It is a laboratory for the soul. It is a training ground for virtue, a sanctuary for reflection, and a mirror held up to the mind. It is the space where we can dissect our experiences, challenge our own assumptions, and actively practice the principles of the philosophy. The act of writing transforms vague, fleeting thoughts into concrete, examinable sentences. It slows down the mind and forces clarity. The most famous example, Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, was never intended for an audience. It was his personal journal, his private dialogue with himself on how to be a better man, a better leader, and a better Stoic, even amidst the immense pressures of ruling the Roman Empire. In his writings, we see him grappling with his own flaws, reminding himself of core principles, and preparing his mind for the challenges of the day. You do not need to be an emperor to benefit from this practice. In our modern lives, a journal becomes a vital space to disconnect from the external noise and reconnect with our internal compass. It is where we can practice all the other Stoic lessons we've discussed. How do you start a Stoic journal? It begins with asking the right questions. The philosopher Epictetus suggested a simple yet profound framework for an evening reflection, which can be adapted for your journal. Where have I transgressed? This is not about self-flagellation. It is an honest, non-judgmental review of your day. Where did I fall short of my own values? Did I react with anger when I could have chosen patience? Did I waste time on trivialities when I had important work to do? Did I speak unkindly? Acknowledging our mistakes without shame is the first step toward correcting them. What have I done? This is a review of your actions. Not just the big accomplishments, but the small acts of virtue. Did I listen patiently to a friend? Did I focus on my work with diligence? Did I show gratitude? This is about recognizing your successes and reinforcing the behaviors you want to cultivate. What duty have I left undone? This question looks forward. What did I neglect today that I must attend to tomorrow? It fosters a sense of responsibility and prepares you to act with greater intention the next day. Beyond this evening review, a morning journaling session can set the tone for the entire day. This is where you can practice premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of adversity. You can write. Today, I may encounter rude, ungrateful, or arrogant people. They are this way because they are ignorant of what is good and evil. I will not let them implicate me in ugliness, nor will I be angry with my kin. I will remember we are made for cooperation. This is not a prediction of a bad day, it is a mental and spiritual inoculation against it. You are preparing your mind, reinforcing your resolve, and setting your intention to respond with virtue, no matter what the day brings. A Stoic journal is also the perfect place to practice objective representation. When you are distressed by an event, write it down, but strip it of all subjective judgment. As we discussed in Lesson 3, describe it like a scientist. This act of writing creates distance and allows your rational mind to step in and question your initial, emotional interpretation. Over time, your journal becomes an invaluable record of your personal growth. You can look back at entries from a year ago and see how you've changed. You can see the patterns in your thinking, the recurring challenges you face, and the progress you've made. It becomes a testament to your own resilience and a source of profound self-knowledge. In our world of fleeting digital communication, the slow, deliberate act of putting pen to paper is a radical act of self-care. It is a commitment to understanding yourself, to holding yourself accountable, and to consciously shaping the person you wish to become. It is, perhaps, the single most powerful habit you can adopt on your journey to an unshakable mind. Lesson 6, The Alchemist's Secret, Turning Obstacles into Fuel. Life is filled with obstacles. They are not the exception, they are the rule. Projects fail, relationships end, our health falters, plans go awry. The natural human tendency is to view these obstacles as purely negative, as roadblocks, setbacks, or sources of suffering. We lament them, we curse them, and we wish they would disappear. The Stoics, however, possessed a kind of mental alchemy. They held a secret that allowed them to take the leaden weight of adversity and transmute it into gold. They did not just endure obstacles, they used them. They saw every impediment not as a barrier to their path, but as the path itself. This transformative perspective is most famously captured in a line from Marcus Aurelius, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is one of the most profound and practical ideas in all of philosophy. It suggests that within every obstacle, there is an opportunity to practice a virtue, to learn a lesson, to grow stronger. Think of a river flowing towards the sea. When it encounters a large boulder, it does not stop. The boulder, the obstacle, forces the river to change. It may have to carve a deeper channel, increasing its own force. It may have to split and find a new route, discovering a path it never would have found otherwise. The obstacle doesn't block the river, it shapes it. It makes it more resilient, more adaptable. We are like that river. When we encounter an obstacle, we have a choice. We can crash against it in frustration and defeat, or we can use its resistance to become stronger. Let's explore this with a concrete example. Say you are an entrepreneur and your new business venture fails spectacularly. This is a significant obstacle. The non-Stoic response would be to despair, to see it as a reflection of your inadequacy, and perhaps to give up entirely. The Stoic alchemist, however, would look for the opportunity within the failure. The opportunity for humility. The failure is a powerful antidote to arrogance. It teaches you that you are not infallible and that success is never guaranteed. The opportunity for resilience. By picking yourself up after a fall, you are building the mental and emotional fortitude to face future setbacks. You are learning that you can survive failure. The opportunity for learning. The failure is a masterclass in what doesn't work. It provides invaluable data that you can use to inform your next venture. Thomas Edison, who famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, embodied this mindset when he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The opportunity for courage. To try again after a significant failure requires immense courage. The obstacle of failure becomes the very thing that allows you to practice and display this cardinal virtue. This is the alchemy. The obstacle of failure has been transformed into humility, resilience, wisdom, and courage. The thing that stood in the way has become the way forward. This mindset is applicable to every aspect of life. A difficult colleague at work is not just a source of frustration, they are an opportunity to practice patience, forbearance, and communication skills. A chronic illness is not just a physical burden, it can be an opportunity to cultivate gratitude for the small things, to develop a deeper empathy for the suffering of others, and to reevaluate what is truly important in life. A period of loneliness is not just about isolation, it is an opportunity for self-reflection, for learning to enjoy your own company, and for cultivating the inner resources that will make you a better friend or partner in the future. This is not about toxic positivity or pretending that pain isn't real. The pain of a setback is undeniable. The Stoic does not deny the pain. Instead, they refuse to add a second layer of suffering, the judgment that the event is purely bad and that they are a victim. They accept the reality of the situation and immediately begin to look for how it can be used for a virtuous purpose. Modern psychology has a term for this phenomenon: post-traumatic growth. It is the well-documented reality that many people who experience significant trauma or adversity report positive psychological changes in its aftermath, a greater appreciation for life, improved relationships, and a heightened sense of personal strength. The Stoics were, in essence, the original pioneers of post-traumatic growth, teaching us how to achieve it intentionally. So, the next time you face an obstacle, no matter how large or small, pause and ask yourself the alchemist's question: how can I use this? What virtue can I practice here? How can this thing that stands in my way become my way? This is not just a mindset, it is a superpower. It is the secret to becoming not just unbreakable, but anti-fragile, a person who does not just survive adversity, but becomes stronger because of it. Lesson 7, The Fountain of Contentment, the Daily Practice of Gratitude. In our modern culture, the pursuit of happiness is often framed as a relentless chase for more. More success, more possessions, more experiences, more validation. We operate from a mindset of scarcity, our focus perpetually fixed on the gap between what we have and what we want. This constant striving, while it can be a motivator, is also a recipe for chronic dissatisfaction. We are like Tantalus in the Greek myth, forever reaching for a fruit that recedes from our grasp, tormented by a thirst that is never quenched. The Stoics offered a radical and liberating alternative. They taught that the source of joy and contentment is not found in acquiring more, but in appreciating what you already have. True happiness, as the philosopher Seneca wrote, is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. This is the essence of gratitude, a deep, mindful appreciation for the blessings that already permeate our lives, many of which we take for granted. Practicing gratitude is more than just politely saying, "thank you." It is a fundamental shift in perspective. It is the conscious act of turning your attention away from what is lacking and towards the abundance that is already present. It is a powerful antidote to the poisons of envy, resentment, and a restless desire for what we don't possess. Consider the simple, miraculous reality of your existence right now. You are breathing. Your heart is beating. You have the capacity for thought, for love, for experiencing the world through your senses. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Simply waking up is a gift that is not granted to everyone. To start the day from this place of profound gratitude changes everything. The Stoic practice of gratitude is not a shallow, good vibes only affair. It is robust and all-encompassing. It includes being grateful not only for the pleasant things in life, but also for the challenges. This connects deeply with the previous lesson of seeing obstacles as opportunities. The Stoic is grateful for the difficult boss, for they are a chance to practice patience. They are grateful for the failure, for it is a master teacher. They are grateful for their critics, for they reveal potential blind spots. This is a difficult but transformative practice. It finds the gift in everything. How can we weave the practice of gratitude into the fabric of our daily lives? The Gratitude Journal, this is a classic and highly effective technique. At the beginning or end of your day, take 5 minutes to write down 3 to 5 specific things for which you are grateful. Be specific. Instead of just writing, "my family," write, "the way my partner smiled at me this morning," or, "the sound of my child's laughter." Specificity makes the feeling more vivid and real. Negative visualization, a Stoic specialty. This may sound counterintuitive, but it is one of the most powerful gratitude exercises. Periodically, take a moment to imagine that you have lost the things you value most. Imagine your life without your loved ones, without your health, without your home. This is not meant to be a morbid exercise in anxiety. The purpose is to then return to your present reality with a renewed, visceral appreciation for everything you just imagined losing. After this exercise, a simple meal with your family feels like a feast, and your own good health feels like an immense fortune. You stop taking your blessings for granted. The gratitude walk: go for a walk with the sole intention of noticing things to be grateful for. The intricate pattern of a leaf, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the complex infrastructure that provides clean water to your tap, the friendly nod from a stranger. When you actively look for things to appreciate, you will find them everywhere. Your world, which may have seemed drab and routine, suddenly comes alive with wonder. Expressing gratitude to others: don't just feel gratitude, express it. Write a heartfelt letter to someone who has helped you. Call a friend just to tell them you appreciate their presence in your life. Thank the barista for making your coffee. Expressing gratitude not only brightens another person's day, but it also amplifies the feeling within yourself. In a world that constantly tells you that you are not enough, that you need more to be happy, the practice of gratitude is a revolutionary act of contentment. It is the key that unlocks the joy that is already present, waiting to be noticed. It is the fountain of contentment that springs not from the external world, but from a well-trained and appreciative mind. By drinking from this fountain daily, you nourish a deep and abiding peace that no worldly possession or achievement can ever provide. We have journeyed together through the ancient halls of Stoic wisdom, from the inner citadel of self-control to the alchemical power of turning obstacles into fuel. We have learned to pause, to gain perspective, and to cultivate a profound gratitude for the very fabric of our existence. These are not just philosophical ideas, they are practical tools, weapons in the fight for tranquility, and blueprints for building an unshakable mind. The path of the Stoic is not a destination to be reached, but a road to be walked every single day. It is a lifelong commitment to self-mastery, to living with virtue, courage, and grace. There will be days you stumble. There will be moments your old emotional habits resurface. That is part of the journey. The goal is not perfection, but progress. It is to rise each time you fall, to gently guide your mind back to these principles, and to continue the work. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: the universe is transformation, our life is what our thoughts make it. You hold the power to shape your thoughts, and in doing so, you hold the power to transform your life. You are the commander of your inner citadel, the alchemist of your own soul. The strength you seek is already within you, waiting to be forged in the fires of daily practice. Your journey continues now, in the very next choice you make. Will you let your emotions rule you, or will you choose to respond with wisdom? We are deeply grateful to have shared this time with you. If these lessons resonated with you, and you are committed to continuing this path of self-discovery and mental strength, we invite you to become part of our community. What is the one Stoic lesson from this guide that you will commit to practicing starting tomorrow? Share your commitment in the comments below. Reading your stories and intentions inspires us all. And if you found value in this journey, please like this video to help it reach others who may need to hear this message. And be sure to subscribe to BAudio and turn on notifications, so you never miss another step on our shared path to wisdom and tranquility. Thank you for walking with us. Until next time, live with virtue.